cross country. I tried.
Did you, Russ? Did you try? "2022 has been a very weird year. Very weird, and nowhere has that been more prevalent than in the video me and my brother made earlier in the season, where we rank all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And when we got down to Russell Wilson, well, it wasn't pretty, but then again, neither is his play on the field. One of the categories we had was couldn't start in the USFL, which we dumped Baker Mayfield in that category, and we almost dumped Russell Wilson in that category, thinking that he'd be better off as the trigger man for the Birmingham Stallions than Denver Broncos.
Russell Wilson.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You think he belongs down there with Baker trying out for Birmingham?
I think he needs to try out for Birmingham. I don't think he could start in the XFL.
Like, give me Houston Roughneck quarterback sensation PJ Walker all day. Look, Wilson, his quarterback rating is 36. Wilson and Rodgers are two of the most efficient quarterbacks in the history of this sport, and right now they look like
I really thought
Josh
it was
McCown
work.
and Luke McCown.
I really thought it was going to work.
And guess what, Russell? You're Luke.
Ouch.
And nobody wants to be Luke.
No one wants to.
So how did we get to this point where Russell Wilson is playing like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL for the Denver Broncos when the man has been a career Seahawk? Well, quick summary. Wilson was a third-round draft pick in 2012, drafted by the Seahawks. He was expected to be just a backup quarterback, but he beat out Matt Flynn for the starting job, despite being undersized at 5'11". In only his second year, he led the Seattle Seahawks all the way to the Super Bowl. Well, he, Marshawn Lynch, and the Legion of Boom led the Seattle Seahawks all the way to Super Bowl 48, where they just dismantled the Denver Broncos. Then in Super Bowl 49, they were in the Super Bowl again just 1 year later when they lost to the New England Patriots on the infamous goal line interception when Malcolm Butler picked off Russell Wilson in the end zone, and everyone questioned why Seattle didn't just run the ball with Marshawn Lynch. And that began a rift that would take several years to complete, but finally, old wounds run deep, and Wilson was out of Seattle. Now, Wilson, he wanted to be not just a star quarterback, he seemed to want to be a star. When he came into the league, he was more pro-ready than people gave him credit for. He was very mature. He carried himself like a consummate pro. But over the course of his career, his personality kind of devolved into this attention-seeking diva almost. Like he's trying to be a lifestyle brand. And it is just so difficult to watch. I mean, his own teammates couldn't even call him up and talk to him whenever they wanted. They had to go through his camp. They had to talk to his management team. They had to talk to Team 3 in order to get to Russ. If you're the leader of a football team and your own teammates can't reach out and talk to you whenever they want or need, then you're not actually the leader of that team. Just throwing that out there. Frustrations boiled over in Seattle. Russ wanted to be a big name quarterback. Pete Carroll just wanted a ground-oriented, smash mouth, run first offense. Russ did not want to be the quarterback in an old school run first offense. Russ wanted to be among the Drew Breeses and Peyton Mannings and Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Bradys of the world. He wanted to be in that category. He wanted to be in that class. That wasn't going to happen with Pete Carroll's offensive scheme.
Come on, we're all MVPs here. You don't mind? I'm about to get another.
Russ here is his generation's Drew Brees. Great player, but someone's always better.
Hey, Russ, I made us jackets.
I will win MVP.
Who would have thought? Me, Josh Allen, hanging in with the big boys.
My wife, Mrs. Unlimited, said I have to be a lifestyle brand. Locking up that cash, right?
Totally, Russ. God, he's so lame.
At the end of the day, the real MVP is someone who enjoys time with their team. But also, please vote for me for MVP. Stay tuned for our spinoff, Let Dalvin Cook.
Bro, just give me the A.
Eventually, Pete Carroll got tired of the power struggle with Russ, and on March 8th, 2022, one of the biggest trades in NFL history occurred. Seattle sent Russell Wilson, who at the time had the 5th highest passer rating of all time at 101.8. They sent Russell Wilson, along with a 4th-round draft pick in 2022, to the Denver Broncos in exchange for the 9th overall pick, which they used on Charles Cross, the 40th overall pick, which they used on Boye Mafe, a 5th-round pick, a 1st-round pick in 2023, a 2nd-round pick in 2023, tight end Noah Fant, defensive end Shelby Harris, and a broken jugs machine with a boy band haircut, aka Drew Lock. To say that the trade has been disastrous for Denver would be an understatement. Look at the side-by-side of Russell Wilson in Seattle compared to just 8 games into his Denver tenure. He's averaging slightly more yards per game, but his yards per attempt are down. His completion percentage is down by a lot, down from 65% to 57.4%. And his passer rating, his legendarily high passer rating, just fell off a cliff. It dropped by over 20 points. It's been bad in Denver, and it's perplexing considering that they brought in Nathaniel Hackett, who was supposed to be an offensive guru, who's supposed to be an offensive mastermind. But the theory was that they were bringing in Nathaniel Hackett as a power play in order to get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers loved Nathaniel Hackett. He spoke glowingly about the man. He put him up on a pedestal. And that was about all any coach needs for a resume, is a seal of approval from Aaron Rodgers. So Denver brings in Nathaniel Hackett, thinking it'll help them get Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers ends up staying in Green Bay. So they swing the trade for Russell Wilson. They gave up a king's ransom. Not only did they trade all those draft picks along with Noah Fant, Drew Lock, and Shelby Harris, they also signed Russ to a 5-year, $245 million contract. And what they've got in return is one of the worst offenses we have ever seen this side of Freddie Kitchens. I mean, they look like the Browns before they got Kevin Stefanski. It's awful. It is absolutely hideous. Nathaniel Hackett even had to hire an assistant coach to help him with clock management. The Denver Broncos have been abysmal. But the memes have been on point. Such as this one comparing Russell Wilson to Mitch Trubisky. When you're paying a quarterback $245 million, you do not want his numbers to look almost identical to that of Mitch Trubisky. Ryan Clark has not held back at all when discussing the Denver Broncos incompetence on offense. I ain't paying $256 million to let my kicker kick a 64-yard field goal on 4th and 5. Right, $256 million, my bad. That's even more than the amount of yards per game he's averaging. This one went viral overnight of Melvin Gordon glaring at Russell Wilson. He is sick of Russ. KJ Hamler had a fit on the field, slamming his helmet to the ground and throwing a tantrum when Russell Wilson missed him on a wide open touchdown. Can't really blame the guy. And Richard Sherman was having flashbacks to Super Bowl 49 when the Broncos opted to throw the ball instead of running it on 4th and 1. This one might be my favorite of Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson just trading interceptions. Wilson, in the second half of Monday Night Football, 3 of 11, 15 yards, 0 touchdowns. That's a very telling statistic right there. And then there's this one which points out that Russell Wilson has more bathrooms in his house than he has touchdown passes so far this season. It's not just memes. The Bleacher Report is also at a field day with Russell Wilson and the Broncos' incompetence on offense, as they never miss an opportunity to poke fun of the quarterback on the Gridiron Heights cartoon.
Sorry, you're the shortest QB we've ever had.
Behind! We are behind! Extra all the time. Heard, Chef. Remember, separation comes from preparation.
Whatever you say, Chef.
What's up, Trent? Oh, hey, Nick. Yellow.
What do we do?
If you're being attacked by D-men, you need to move.
I don't understand.
Like, give up and get out.
Okay, listening to teammate feedback and we're staying. I refuse to scramble anymore.
It's funny because it's true, but you don't have to take my word for how bad the Broncos and Russell Wilson have been. Just listen to Hall of Fame tight end Shannon Sharpe on Undisputed.
Again, last night he was terrible. And now they're coming out talking about he might have had a hamstring issue. It seems like every time he plays man, he comes up with an issue. If you think about it, a couple of weeks ago, he had the lat. He had very similar to Dak Prescott. Last night, his hamstring bothered him. What does that have to do with his decision making? There are several times he had the tight end right in his line of sight.
He did.
Just dump the ball to the tight end. That got nothing to do with the lat. That has nothing to do with his hamstring.
Nope.
Russell Wilson is not seeing the field very well. He's playing even worse than he's seeing the field. He's playing bad. $245 million, this is what he's got them. 5 touchdown passes in 6 games. He's 30th in completion percentage. The worst scoring offense in the NFL. 15 points a game. That defense is good enough to have won 5 of those ball games.
I'll buy that.
The way I see it, that's a wrap on Russ and the 2022 Broncos. It is over. This season is over. I think next season that they can have a nice bounce back year if they make the proper adjustments, but this season is over. Ultimately, Russell Wilson's problem is this. He set out to prove that he wasn't a system quarterback. And so far, all he's done is prove that he was a system quarterback.